Hi guys, Louis here. Welcome back to Acorn Hill. We are under the pergola today because there are two tasks that I wanted to do and post a quick video on. And number one would be planting and keeping and upgrading and putting together our lavender hedge down here on the dry garden. This part of the garden by the patio where we have our bench receives a lot of light, a lot of sun, and it is the driest part of the garden. And so down here, if you can see on the border of this garden bed, I have 1-year-old lavender that have now acclimated and are liking the space. But we have some spots where over the last year, two of them died just because I did not provide them with good drainage. And you see over there, in that lavender pot, a new I think that's a French style lavender that I got from Trader Joe's. And slowly, as I pick out and choose and see all these types of lavenders coming up in the market, I am going to fill in gaps that were previously taken up by the old lavender. And so where it's sitting right now, that blue pot, that lavender pot, is where we will plant that lavender. Now, behind the lavender, just to give you a quick tour, we have our hybrid German bearded irises that are in the back. I planted them late winter, and there will be an upcoming video on how I keep and how I plant these stalwarts in our garden. So that's what we are having. Since this part of the garden gets a lot of sun and heat, the heat coming off of the retaining wall will help in producing buds and producing flowers for these irises, and they are my favorite. So it's been crazy because I have been transplanting them and moving them around. I used to have a color scheme where the same colors stay together. So this year we do not know which colors are going to join with which ones, existing and newly planted ones. So we'll see. Now, anywho, on the top of the elevated garden, I also have the old, already spent tulips. I'll put a video or put a screen up on the screen what they look like in the spring of 2021. Spring here in North Carolina is very quick. 2 weeks of spring and boom, the temperatures climb up to 20 degrees, and now we're experiencing low 70s into the low 80s type of temperatures. But that has caused all the blossoms to have now faded. And showing you a different part of the elevated garden with these sets of tulips. This is on the opposite side of the previous set of tulips that I was showing you, but look at how they are now bare. Petals have fallen and some of them are still clinging on, but we are now experiencing slow dieback of these tulips. And even our hyacinths have joined into this rhythm of growth and then slow dieback. As you can see, all these blooms are now spent. The flowers are dead. Hard to believe that 2 weeks ago these blooms looked like these, very vibrant and deep and variegated purple. 2 weeks ago when they were alive, thriving, and sitting well in these pots. And we are now into the next phase of bulb care in the garden. And you can see that these are all just the remnants of the aftermath when the petals have already died back. And it is important that now is the time that I prune them, I deadhead them. We will take off, either pinching off these seed heads. Those are the seeds that the plant will start to bloom. This part over here that I'm rubbing, it's when it gets swollen, that's where the energy of the bulb goes to, and we do not want that. We want the bulbs to create photosynthesis through the leaves that they have, and we will keep those green leaves. They're still very plump and there's a lot of turgor and quality to the petals that I have, and so we will keep those, preventing them from being cut, so that we can get photosynthesis to happen, and photosynthesis will now divert all that energy back into the bulb. I call these the solar panels of the plants, and so after all my bulbs have bloomed, I keep them on until they have turned brown and we take them off. So today's just a quick video, but I wanted to show you what I do to the plants that I've so carefully and thoughtfully planted over the fall and early winter. And so now is the time for us to say goodbye to these bulbs, to these blossoms, but we're going to do an upkeep on how we will maintain them and the lavender planting video. So hope you like this video today. Okay guys, here they are. Pardon the lighting because we're facing the morning sun right now. We're facing east, but as you can see, I've removed majority of the spent heads of the tulips. What remains are just probably 5 individual tulips that still has some petals, and once these petals die back, what I'm going to do is remove them and don't allow the seed heads to develop. But this is how it will look like for the rest of late spring into summer. They will die back probably in about 2 weeks, and once they've died back, it's the same process. I'll just remove all the brown leaves and put them in the compost heap. But so far so good. They look neater. They look not unkempt before, but right now it just gives me a good flush of green right on the bottom. Now in this garden bed, I've recently planted a Columbine, and those are the star-shaped flowers that you see. When I bought them from the big box store, of course, when they sell them, you have flowers, and these flowers can be cut back. In about a week, I'll cut those back again because, again, they will form seed heads. It's good for us to all remember that whenever a plant produces flowers, right behind those petals are where the seed heads are formed, and I will cut this back so that we can get a new flush of color, a new flush of bloom. Okay, so up on the elevated garden, this is a clear example as to why we need to start deadheading these tulips and these bulbs. Look at that. It rained last night, and so we had a lot of petal damage and blossom damage. But if you take a look closely, not only are the petals, this is a parrot tulip, and not only are they consumed, you also have this very rigid, and by the way, because of the bone meal that I use, this is the most rigid stem I have had for these types of tulips this year. They're pretty woody in terms of turgor and stability, so these are very good tulips, but this is what we don't want to form big seed heads from. And they can easily form big seed heads, and those are what's going to take out the energy from the bulb that's happily sitting in this garden bed. So all these parrot tulips, I dispersed about 1, got 2, 3, I got 5 parrot tulips just in this one little drift, and that's what we will remove. Again, pardon the lighting, and the morning sun is really harsh now. Here's another one. Look at that big seed head. And hopefully this tulip has not really produced or consumed a lot of its energy just forming these seed heads, but it's crept up on me, and for 2 days I really did not get to check this garden bed. Now we have this hard big seed head. That's what it looks like. Okay, and it's really as easy as snapping them off. One of the things that I like after planting all these tulips, it is part of the ritual of bulb planting, is after you enjoy the blooms, they've really given us a lot of good blooms for 2.5 weeks. It's time to deadhead them, and it's time to put them to bed. So that's what I do, and I just leave these right on top of the mulch, and we'll let it die back. And here's another one. See, there it is. It's now forming its own big seed head, and we're just gonna take it off. There are a few more over here. I gotta be careful because my feet are on slippery, boggy ground on the bottom of my elevated garden. I don't want to slip, but here we are. Okay, there's a few more over here. I know many of you do this, but it's always good to get a refresher course as to why we need to deadhead these stems. I like the way that they've grown this year because listen to this. Listen to that snap. That tells you that these tulips are very, very healthy. See there? Look at that. Even the cut point the cut point of the tulip is filled with a lot of fibers. It's really a healthy plant. I'm very happy with that bone meal. So again, for $7 a big bag, get your own bone meal and do ourselves a favor. And that's what's going to produce all these good blooms. There it is again. Oh, this one's too fibrous. It won't come off, so I'm going to use my secateurs for that. There we are. Here's another one. Let's see if we can snap this one off. Nope, too fibrous. And on this patch of potted hyacinths, I'm also deadheading, removing all these spent blooms. And as you can see, the foliage on the hyacinths are now slowly really dying. And we will still keep them until they turn all brown and spent and dried up and withered. And that's when we will uproot them from the pots and plant them out in the landscape. That's what I do with my bulbs. I put them in pots and then I plant them out. That adds more and more bulbs into the landscape that is naturalizing very, very well for us. And in this clip, yes, doing the same thing, deadheading, removing all those spent leaves. Look at how the base of each flower, of each daffodil, you see that swelling right at the very base, and here it is. Those are the seeds, and energy is being produced by the bulb and spent just to get those seeds to swell. For us to conserve the bulb's energy, we will cut them off, and pretty much they are useless at this point, knowing that the flowers are already not showing any good vigor. It's time to take them out, and I leave those long spear-like leaves, foliage of the daffodils, because they're really good solar panels. And like I said earlier, what it will do is gather up all the solar energy, convert it into photosynthesis, and put all that energy directed back into the happy bulb that is sitting and growing underneath that soil about 8 inches below this garden bed. And there you have it, a basic lesson on deadheading. For me, bulb growing is not complete without going through this ritual, and I don't know about you, this process is calming for somebody like me, listening to the tunes on my iPod and just hacking away, cutting them slowly. It's a good thing for me. Thanks again for those of you who are joining our Acorn Hill Circle. Thank you for giving me great comments and encouraging me and just letting me know how you guys feel about what we do here in the property. It's our backyard, it's our laboratory, and what a way to just practice stewardship by doing basic things like deadheading and other things that we show on the channel. Thanks again for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe. We are growing, and the more the merrier. So subscribe, like, and share our videos. For now, this is your presenter and friend Louie in Acorn Hill, and we'll see you back in the next video. Bye-bye for now.